All right. I'm Matteo Viscosi, and today I'm the one who's going to show you what is ntopng and what it can do. So let's start by sharing the screen. Here we go. You should be able to see my screen, right? With the slides.
Yes, Matteo.
Okay, great. So let's start by talking about ntopng. Just a second. Okay. Let's start by talking about ntopng. What is it and what is its role between our tool? So ntopng, first of all, is a passive monitoring tool, mainly. This means that it just listens on the traffic flowing through it and report you information. This information can be various information, just like alerts. So we can say that it reports cybersecurity information, more or less like an IDS can do. And then other information about the host, the traffic, the application traffic, and other information that we are going to take a look at soon. Other than that, ntopng is even an active monitoring tool, not just passive. This means that it can take a look at other information using SNMP or other protocols like ICMP or HTTP, HTTPS, and check if some resources are available on the internet or not. So one thing about this training is that whenever you see a blue slide, we are going to jump directly on ntopng and take a look at it, so we can have some hands-on ntopng. Let's start by talking about how to start ntopng, obviously. So ntopng can be started in two different ways, one in foreground and one in background. It means that whenever you install the ntopng, you can run directly by your terminal or whatever you are currently using by typing this first command, so ntopng-e, and we are going to take a look soon at what -e option is, etc. And in this way, ntopng is directly going to run in foreground, so in your shell, for example. Otherwise, another way to start ntopng, the most common one is by starting it in background. So by starting it using a command like system control, so sudo systemctl start ntopng. The difference between these two type of ways to run ntopng is mainly that by using the background way, you don't need to have a shell open on your PC or computer or whatever you are using. In both cases, you can add all the option ntopng should run with in a configuration file. In a configuration file can, and by default, this configuration file, you can find it into this path /etc/ntopng/ntopng.conf. This path can change by distro, but usually you can find it here. And like I was saying, in this configuration file, you can put a lot of options. For instance, you can put the -i option, sorry, And by adding the dash I option, you are saying to ntopng to analyze a specific interface. Let's take a look at this example, for instance. As you can see in the first one, we have ntopng-i WLO1. This means that ntopng is currently analyzing traffic from the WL01 interface. In my PC, this is the Wi-Fi interface. Then it is analyzing traffic on the loopback interface, and then it is aggregating all the traffic by using a particular interface called viewAll. And by adding this dash I viewAll, it means that ntopng is going to aggregate all the interfaces is currently analyzing into a viewAll interface. So you can see aggregated information. However, you can take a look at all the options ntopng has on the guide, and you can find at this link here. So just give me a second. I'm going to send you the link directly on the chat. And in that link, you can find all ntopng options are what all the ntopng options. Sorry. Now let's jump directly on ntopng. What can be found in ntopng interface? Let's take a look first at these guides and then jump to ntopng directly. All right, in this ntopng, you can find a lot of information in the dashboard, in the main dashboard. You find, first of all, your current interface. This means that all the information you can find here are regarding this particular interface. In this case, in the screenshot here, in the picture here, it is the loopback interface. Then we have some indicators. Some indicators that could be, for instance, the number of alerted flows, number of currently active local hosts, etc. Let's say that they are indicators regarding the status of the network itself, of the interface we are analyzing. Then we have the navigation menu, and from here you can jump to all the pages available in ntopng. And lastly, we have the search bar. Now let's jump directly to ntopng. I started ntopng directly by using ntopng without specifying the interfaces. If you run it without specifying interfaces, then it is going to capture traffic from all the available interfaces. Now, here you can find, for instance, the navigation bar. So from here you navigate through all ntopng. Then we have the currently analyzed interface, so the Wi-Fi interface. And if you click on it, you can see all the currently analyzed interfaces. You can see the loopback interface, a pickup interface, because ntopng is even able to analyze pickups, and a ZMQ interface from which ntopng is capturing traffic exported by mprobe. Those two interfaces can be easily added by adding the dash I, and then you add the pickup file configuration, pickup file path, sorry. And the ZMQ interface can be added easily by adding, again, the dash I option with the interface dedicated to mprobe. In this case, I'm capturing traffic from the localhost IP uh, on port 5556. Then we have the search bar here and all the indicators reporting us the status of the network. For instance, here you can see alerted flows, and here you can find instead dangerous flows. So then we have other information like currently active host, local host, this green icon, and then remote host. Then we have the number of devices, so MAC addresses seen on the network, and currently active flows. Now, let's jump back to the slides and let's take a look at the search bar. What information can be found in the search bar? In ntopng search bar, you can practically find most of the information available in ntopng. And for most of the information, I mean all autonomous system, networks, hosts, SMP devices, MAC addresses seen and currently active on your network. Here you find, for instance, an example. Uh, and let's add 8. Whenever you type something, ntopng is going to take a look at the information with at least these 8, and you can see some information. You can see, first of all, 2 subnets, 2 local networks, the first 2. Then we have 2 autonomous system, and as you can see, all the autonomous system starts with AS. Then we have mm, host, some host, for instance, the router. And you can see here that the router is even a DNS server and DHCP server in my case. Then we have this current PC. This PC has this exact IP in my network. And then other devices like MAC addresses devices. As you can see, you can find the MAC address here. Then from here you can jump directly to the host. So let's jump directly to the router. And as you can see, whenever you click on the router here, you jump directly to the host summary of that particular host, the summary of that particular host. We have a lot of information here. Information starting from traffic sent and received from this host, packets sent and received, the name of the host. And in this case, for instance, we even know how it got that name. So we know that this name come from the ADNS resolution. Then we have other information, just like, um, let's say, security information, for instance, like total flows towards blacklisted hosts, unidirectional flows, number of contacted server. Even this information is particularly interesting regarding cybersecurity, because we know that usually in host should contact at most, for instance, 5 DNS server, but already 5 DNS servers are should be a lot, because if you take a look at the network, usually we have that each host at most should contact 1, 2, 3 DNS servers. So you can find here a summary of all the information. regarding the host. We are going to take a look at this summary in a few minutes, but first let's jump back to the search bar and let's and all the icons you can find here and information you can find here. Other than jumping directly to the host, you can even jump to other historical information because all this information, all this summary is, let's say, current information. So mm, they are not historical. We know that since it started sending traffic on the network, we know that this host has sent a total of 2,000 packets. However, we do not know, for instance, if 1 week ago it sent 600 packets, etc. To do that, we have in the enterprise um, version the possibility to jump to the historical flows. For instance, let's search for this particular host. And if you click on this icon with these 3 lines, if you configure the ClickHouse, that it is our database, we use that ClickHouse to store flows and information, historical information, you can see, for instance, the history of this host. And we can change, for instance, and let's take a look at the last week traffic, etc. However, we are going to take a look at better in, about ClickHouse in the 5th lesson, so next Tuesday, sorry. Another information you can find, the last one, you can find in the search bar is the link to directly to the alerts because, like I said, ntopng has even this peculiar information and part of the of an IDS. So it analyzes traffic and take a look at the information it can find on the packets, on the flows, and see if there is something interesting or not really correct. For instance, when I clicked here on the icon, I jumped directly to the alerts page, and you can see even the filter here. And if we take a look at this page, you can see, for instance, that between my computer and the router, there was some suspicious DNS traffic. And if you click here, you can see other information. So um, the type of the query type, the return code, and other information regarding flows. Let's jump back to the host, however. We were talking about the fact that ntopng stores a lot of information here. All the information since it is active on it was active on the network the first time it was seen on the network. In this page, other than the summary, you can access all this information you can find here in what can we call it, let's say, the host navigation bar. In this navigation bar, you can find a lot of information from the traffic information. For instance, you can see that this host, so the router in this case, this amount of data sent and this amount of data received since it was active on the network. The total, the amount of traffic in percentage was measured from UDP. Then we have other information, for instance, packets sent, packets received, other information regarding TCP, for instance, the TCP flags. Even this information is interesting because we know that um, if there is a lot of reset TCP flags flagged on, it means that there could be some problem in the network or with this particular host. Then we have other information regarding ports, peers, so with whom it did most traffic, ICMP, application. For application, we mean all the application protocol that this particular host did. So, for instance, we know that DNS is an application protocol, and we know that this host did a total of 400 bytes, 456 bytes of DNS traffic. And this is pretty normal because this is even a DNS server. However, you have other information like we know that it did this amount of HTTP traffic, this amount of SSTP traffic, etc. Because ntopng, by using NDPI, an open source library, is even able to understand each traffic, each flow, which application protocol uses. And currently there are more than 300, if I'm not wrong, protocols, application protocols available in NDPI. Then we have the categories. Categories in ntopng are, let's say, an aggregation of application. So we know that, for instance, web category is composed by Amazon, Apple, etc. So all these applications that can be found in the traffic. Before continuing, let's take a look at the amount of currently available applications and categories. And if you jump from the settings to the application and categories, you can find all the applications available in ntopng and even the categories. Yes, we have 330 protocols, application protocols in total, and a total of 41 more or less categories. And you can change all the application between categories if you're interested in, for instance, create your own category. Because let's say that you have to analyze some industrial protocol and you want to aggregate those particular some particular application into a categories and into a category and check the amount of data sent received, etc. You can easily do that by jumping to the category page, and then there should be some user custom category 1. And here you can customize your category by changing the name, adding a list of applications, etc. For instance, if you click here, you can even add, you can change from Zoom, for instance, from video to music category, etc. Let's jump back, however, to the and host information. After the application information, so you can find other information like top sites, top visited sites, currently active flows. So currently on ntopng found that my router is currently talking with 4 different flows, 3 towards my computer and 1 in multicast. Then we have other information like the newly developed flow Sankey or other alerts. Then we have the historical information and service periodicity map and other information, everything about this particular host. Let's jump back to these slides. Now, like I was saying, ntopng is able to analyze multiple interfaces. So you can see that my currently active ntopng, um, I'm currently monitoring the Wi-Fi interface, but I'm even monitoring the loopback interface, the pickup one pickup interface, and the ZMQ interface. And then you can see that there is a particular interface called system. And this interface is a particular one because it shows you information about the system on which ntopng is running. In fact, if you jump to this particular interface, the system one, you can see that there are information about the system. For instance, the CPU load, CPU states, the RAM currently used, available, etc. Even the storage utilization, and who is using the storage. Then you can even find the simple log trace. This is to understand if there is some problem or whatever. And from here, from this particular interface, the system interface, you can monitor the system itself. Um, we even have some information about historical data. So we store some information, for instance, the RAM usage, the CPU load, etc., in the historical data, in charts. And however, we are going to take a look at the historical data specifically in the fifth lesson. So I'm going to show you them later. So now we can jump back to the Wi-Fi interface. Uh, let's see if there are some questions. Yeah. What is the which are you talking about? Sorry, I didn't see the question. What is the letter L? You can unmute if you want. If you are talking about this one, this means that this host is a local host, so a host inside your subnet. These are instead, it means that it is a remote host, so a host outside your subnet. The M instead means that it is multicast, and then we should have another marker, but I don't remember if there are. I don't know if I can find it. No. However, one suggestion is that if you stop with your mouse pointer to a particular icon, it should pop up some brief description. For instance, now I don't know if you are able to see it. However, if I stop my mouse here, I see a little pop-up with written remote. You're welcome. Mm, Now, let's jump and take a look at live traffic. So let's do some traffic towards Google, for instance. And let's take a look at the information shown on ntopng live traffic. Let's do some ping towards the 80.8.4.4. Now I started pinging from the terminal. And now let's see if, as you can see, I started now in this moment to start to do some ping towards this Google host, and then ntopng already is already analyzing the traffic. First of all, you can find this host in the um, live flows. If you jump from the dashboard, so if you scroll from the navigation bar, sorry, to the flows and then click on the live, you can see the currently active flows. Now you can even filter out, as you can see, all this information here above the table can be filtered, are filters, let's say, and we are currently doing ICMP traffic. So if you click on ICMP, you can see that currently on my network there are a total of 4 um, ICMP traffic, and one is towards DNS Google, the one we were taking a look at. If you click here, you jump. If you click on the lens, so let's go back here on the lens, you are going to, let's say, drill down and the information about this flow. So you are going to take a look at it and say, okay, what can be seen here? Can be seen a lot of information from the clients to the server, if available, MAC addresses or autonomous systems. Then we have other information like the protocol and application, category, the confidence. This is a pretty interesting information. If you find DPI here, it means that we are sure about the fact that this flow uses ICMP application. Otherwise, there should be a yellow icon, a yellow tag. I don't know. I don't remember if it is unknown or another, however, yellow icon telling you that we are not sure at 100% that that flow has, for instance, ICMP protocol. And you can find other information in this page. You can see the traffic and information regarding the flow itself. Now, we know that ICMP does not have a lot of information, so we cannot take a look at it really well in this case. So let's jump to the live flows, and instead let's take a look at a TLS traffic. As you can see here, this should be the Teams, yeah. I'm currently sharing the screen, so this is probably it. And we can see here a lot more information is in comparison with the ICMP traffic. We can see, yeah, the client server port, autonomous systems, etc. But we can see even other information. First of all, the latency and the estimated client server distance. Then we have information regarding TCP, because TLS is above TCP. So we know, for instance, that the number of retransmission is 0 here. If nothing is written, it means that it is 0. Out of order 0, lost 0. And then we have information instead regarding the application. So TLS certificate. TLS certificate is an information regarding TLS, and you can find the TLS certificate seen on the flow analyzed by ntopng. Here you can see the TLS certificate, the validity of the certificate, the issuer, and other information all regarding um, the traffic. Then you can even see the payload seen on the traffic. For instance, you can see that we did some HTTP traffic, HTTP 1.1. We know that this is towards Microsoft Corporation, Azure, as you can see, and other information that can be extracted from the payload. Then, like before, like we have seen with the host, if you are interested, for instance, in this host, this Teams host, you just click on the Teams and then you drill down to the details of this particular host. Otherwise, if you're interested in the ports, we click on the port and you can see we jumped to the live flows, but with port 443 filtered, so the HTTPS port. Um, let's jump back to the slides. One other information I forgot about is that, like I said before, we have the historical data. These data are stored in the database whenever an active flows expires and is no more active. So we remove it from the memory and put into the database. This means that all the flows you can see here and you can find here are flows no more active on the network. In fact, we can see that this flow, for instance, let's take this example, yeah, started at 15:38 and 44 and ended at 15:38 and 45. This means that if I jump to the live flows, that flow is no more active. You cannot find that flow here, but you can just find on the historical part. And we are going to take a look at how to add the historical part with ClickHouse still in the fifth lesson. Now, an important thing, we already took a look at these slides, but we didn't take a look at the others instead. An important information you can find in this page, so in the live flows page, is the information, these particular icons, the eye, the warning, red and yellow. Because like I said, ntopng can take a look at some information on the flow and see if there is something that it is not correct, and if it is mm, dangerous, then it is going to trigger an alert. For instance, let's take a look at this host, at this flow, sorry. Let's drill down by clicking on the lens. And as you can see here, there should be, yeah, issues. There is a part called issues, and this issue is blacklisted flow. In fact, if we take a look at this flow, we have a strange icon here. And this icon means that this flow was blacklisted from some list, host list. Now, in this case, it is team, but in this case, it should be teams. However, if it was added to these to the blacklist, there should be some reason, and you can see the blacklist we download and we take information from the settings entry to and click on blacklist. You can see here, for instance, that we download the blacklist information from this particular site, and you can decide to disable these um, downloads towards this host, otherwise add some other we disable it by default.
Sorry, Matteo.
Yeah, Alfredo, yeah.
There is a question from Chris.
Mhm.
He's asking if it's possible to add a custom blacklist.
Um,
And of course, how to do that.
yeah, currently it should not be possible to add a custom blacklist. However, we are thinking about adding this possibility, and it should not be difficult to add it. So
Actually, we can define, for instance, costs, and similar to what the blacklist is doing, right? So we can define cost, assign a category.
yeah.
Yeah, let's say there is no button here on this page, but we
Mhm.
can create. You can associate an host with a category or a protocol, and as a consequence, you have the same effect.
Yes, exactly. Was it clear enough as an answer? Let's continue then. Let's talk about alerts. So, like I said, and like I've shown you, ntopng is able to trigger alerts. For instance, the one we have seen before, the blacklisted flow. That is an issue, so an alert. Whenever ntopng see some of these problems, if you enabled the alerts, because it is even possible to disable them, ntopng is going to trigger an alert. By triggering an alert, a new alert should be added here in this page, the alerts page, that you can jump to it by clicking on alerts on the alerts icon. And here you can see a brief summary of the alerts. We know that in the last 30 minutes, here you can change the time frame, by add, mm, by selecting the preset, so last 30 minutes, last hour, last day, etc. Otherwise, if you click on this uh, here, these two entries, you can select a day and start analyzing from it. So let's add, for instance, last day. And we can see a little summary of um, which type of alerts we found and that OpenG triggered. We know that, for instance, we have more or less 7,000 errors in the flows. Usually, the notice or lower are not that interesting. However, instead, the error ones usually are. We know that regarding active monitoring, we have 23 critical alerts. Usually, the critical alerts regarding active monitoring means that the host I'm currently trying to reach by using HTTP, ICMP, or whatever active monitoring protocol, it is not reachable. For this reason, we decided to put a critical label because usually we monitor hosts that we are interested in. And if those hosts are not reachable, it means it could mean a lot of things. Just like, for example, the host is down, the network is down, or the network is congested. So it could be a lot of reasons, but usually critical reasons. And from here, let's say, okay, we are interested in the flow alerts because we decided to divide the alerts by category, by family, let's say. So the flow alerts, if you click on flow, you are going to jump to a summary of instead the flow alerts. Then we have the system alerts, so alerts regarding the system, alerts regarding user, alerts regarding hosts, alerts regarding active monitoring and other families like interfaces alerts, MAC addresses alerts, etc. Let's jump, however, to the flow alerts. If you click on the flow, you are going to be redirected to this page. It is the same, however, with the, as you can see, with the flow family selected. And here, like we've seen before, you can find all the alerts regarding flows. So all the problems ntopng has seen on the flows. Now, in this page, you can find some interesting information from when it was triggered, the score. The score is a particular indicator telling you um, how dangerous, let's say, a flow is. The higher the score, the more dangerous it is, or at least ntopng thinks that it is more dangerous. Mm, Then we have other information like the usual quintuplet, so application protocols, client, server, port, and ports. And then you have the alert triggered and information regarding the alert, so why it was triggered. Know, for example, in this alert that it has a score of 10, so pretty low score, one of the lowest, let's say. Um, that the good put of this flow was the good put ratio was pretty low. However, let's take a look at some interesting instead alerts. As you can see, you can order by the score, date, and other column. And by ordering by score, let's take a look at this mm, this alert. As you can see, this is flow towards from my computer towards Discord, and Discord in this case, at least this IP used by Discord, is blacklisted. So as you can see, an alert with blacklisted flow is triggered. We've seen, we can see the score. The score is pretty high. It's 100. You have to consider that for each alert, the highest available score should be around, I think, 250, no more. So this is pretty high, and 250, it means that it is critical, really critical. So as you can understand, this should be a pretty dangerous alert, and you can find, if you click on the first column, or you can drill down other information, and you can find, for instance, information seen on the flow, information regarding the flow itself, so the requested server name, the traffic. And if you click on this column actions and jump to the info, instead the drill down towards that particular flow that triggered the alert can be seen, and all the information more or less like it was um, a, a live flow. You can pretty much remember that this is more or less the same page as the live flow, however, reporting first of all the alert, so the issue, and then all the information regarding the flow, the description uh, of the problem. For example, we can see that Discord was blacklisted from the Stratosphere Lab blacklist. And we know, for instance, like before, adding information regarding the protocol, the application, the the protocol, the application protocol of the flow. So the requested server name, TLS protocol supported, etc. Let's jump back to the others. And here in this page, other than just taking a look at a table, you can even filter out this information. For instance, let's say, okay, I'm interested in the alerts triggered by my computer. If you click on the computer, a modal with written add filter is going to pop up, and you can add a new filter towards client name with the name we selected. And if you click apply, as you can see here, a new filter is added, and here you can find all the filtered alerts done by this particular host. As you can see, it is client. So in this case, it is in all cases a client. However, we can even filter out by IP and other information. And let's take a look at all the filters available. And to add a new filter, you just click on the plus, otherwise on the information. If you click on the plus, let's say an empty model is going to pop up. And by clicking the first entry, there is a scroll with the available filters in ntopng. And for instance, if we select the alert type, we know that we can choose alerts equal or different from an alerts we are interested in. So let's say, for example, we have a lot of blacklisted flow. So let's put different from blacklisted flow. And you can see that all the alerts shown here are not from the blacklisted flow and have with as a client the my computer. Now let's take a look at this other alert, for instance, and you can see something interesting. So suspicious DNS traffic. Why it was suspicious? Because DNS record has 0 TTL. And like you should know, the TTL of the DNS record should not be 0. And if you click again on the action and info, you can drill down to the flow to take a look better at the information available. Another interesting thing to personalize, let's say, to custom your alert page, you can click on this eye icon and a drop down that you should be able to see popped up, and you can find the columns you should show in this table. For instance, let's say, okay, you're not interested in the date and time. And as you can see, I toggled off the date and time, and we no more have the date and time column. I'm not interested in the application column. And as you can see, the application column vanished. And the same for all the other information. So you can, let's say, customize this table. Another way even to drill down towards the information you are interested in, it is by clicking and dragging in this chart. And if you click and drag, you zoom directly in this particular time frame. As you can see, I'm interested in this particular time frame, and all the times I zoom in. And as you can see, for instance, in this particular time frame we zoomed in, you can find all the hours, in this particular frame that was between 11 and 7 minutes towards and with an end to the 11 and 8 minutes. Now, let's take a look at if there are some questions. Okay. Now, by clicking on this action column, you can find even other information. Until now, we always tapped this info button, this info entry, and like you should remember is the drill down towards into the flow, into the hours, sorry, with the information regarding the hours. However, we have other entries. First of all, if you enabled the historical flows, so click out the database, you can click on historical flows and you are going to jump, as you can see, to the particular flow that triggered that alert. In fact, if you remember, it was an alert with no protocol or no standard port, so TLS with the description, TLS not
Sorry,
carrying.
Matteo.
Yeah.
There's a question in the chat.
Mhm.
So they're asking how to add exceptions in case, for instance, they have SSH on a standard port and they know that they have it and they want just to ignore that alert.
Okay. Simply put, if you jump back to the alert, you can add exceptions in two ways in ntopng. However, one important thing is that exceptions are available just from the Enterprise M license on. The first way to add an exception is by jumping in the alerts page. You see, for instance, an alert you are not interested in, and you know that this is an exception. For instance, this blacklisted flow. I know that Discord is not blacklisted. So why should this alert be triggered? Let's click on the action button and you can see disable. This entry, if you click on it, uh, wait, let's put on the white mode. Maybe you can see it better. Okay, disable. And you can see that you can exclude this check blacklisted flow for the client, the server. Otherwise, you can exclude this check for this domain. You can exclude all checks for this domain or this TLS certificate issuer. Let's say that I wanted to disable this particular check, so the blacklisted flow one with this IP, because Stratosphere did not blacklisted latency discord.media, but blacklisted the IP. So let's exclude this blacklisted flow alert for this particular server IP. And if you click, you can decide to delete the old alerts. Otherwise, do not delete it. Then I do not want to delete the history. So let's just add an exclusion for this particular server towards this alert. Let's click exclude. And if we jump to the settings, behavioral checks, exclusions here, you can see a new entry in this table. This table is the table showing you all the currently configured exclusion, and you can find, in fact, the exclusion we added a few seconds ago, and towards blacklisted flow, excluded host, the Discord host. In this way, you are able to add an exclusion from the alerts. Otherwise, if you want to add an exclusion from this page, you can click on the plus here this page. Settings, behavioral checks exclusion. Click on the plus and a model with a network or an IP address is going to pop up. You have to insert the information. For instance, let's exclude alerts, flow alerts. Let's say suspicious device protocol. If you click on this drop down, I don't know if you're able to see the drop down. However, if you click here, the drop down with all the available host alerts in this case or flow alerts in this case is going to pop up, and you can choose the alerts you want to exclude. So let's say, for example, let's exclude these two alerts for this host. And two new entries are added. Here, device application not allowed for the Google host, and SMTP server contacts alert, another exclusion for the Google host. If you want instead to remove this exclusion, just click on the action button and click delete. Whenever you click delete, as you can see, the exclusion disappeared and it is going to pop up again. Like you have seen before, you can exclude alerts for hosts, but even for domain names and TLS certificates, the certificate issuer. However, a peculiarity about domain names and TLS certificate issuer is that you are going to exclude all the alerts for this particular certificate issuer or this domain name. Was it clear enough regarding the exclusion, the alerts exclusion, how to exclude an host, an alert?
Thank you. But can you show me exclusion on port?
Could you repeat, please? I didn't hear you entirely.
Let me type again.
What did you ask for? Sorry. Regarding the port, currently is not available. We do not add specific exclusion until now. And it is not currently possible to add exclusion for the port in this current version. However, we are planning on adding it. And in NDPI, Alfredo, it's not possible, right, to add the port exclusion with the NDPI configuration, right?
No, but maybe an alternative way to doing this is to define the same protocol on that port so that it becomes a standard port for that protocol. But yeah, in essence, we don't have the exclusion by port, so yeah.
This is pretty much everything regarding alerts. One thing I totally forget about is that we have two types of alerts. Three types, let's say. We have past alerts, acknowledged alerts, and engaged alerts. The past alerts are alerts already expired, let's say. So the flow, for instance, is no more in memory and etc. The host is no more available, or the host has no more that alert. And instead, we have the acknowledged alerts. Acknowledged alerts are, let's say, alerts seen by the network administrator. And whenever you For instance, let's say, okay, I want to acknowledge that alert. So let's say that this alert, I've seen this alert, so I'm not interested in seeing it again in this page. You acknowledge this alert, you can add comments, etc. And whenever you acknowledge it, it is going to pop up instead in this table. In that way, you can remember which alerts you have seen and which not. Lastly, we have the engaged instead alerts that are alerts currently active on the network. We can see that there is a one symbol here. In fact, if you click on active monitoring, we should be able to see, let's put last hour, last day, okay. We should be able to see an engaged alert. Engaged alert, for instance, here. We have an engaged alert regarding active monitoring. So this alert is currently active. And as you can see, it is a continuous ICMP alert. Host and ntopng, for instance, I'm pinging it just for testing active monitoring, is unreachable. So this is an engaged alert because it's currently active. Now, let's jump back to the slides. We have seen these alerts and we have seen how to disable alerts. Before jumping to delivering alerts to external recipients, I want to show you one thing because we have talked about all these alerts, but which alerts can be enabled and which can be disabled. To see them, just jump to the settings, behavioral checks, and here you can find a list of all the alerts available. We have a total of 150 more or less available alerts for and here you can even change the family. It is the same as the alerts family. And here you can find all the available alerts in ntopng. There are a total of 100 enabled and 45 disabled. Still here you can order by the severity, category, etc. And whenever, for instance, let's enable a disabled alert. We have DNS traffic alert. Okay, DNS traffic alert. It is an alert that triggers an alert when bytes bytes sent plus received for DNS traffic exceeds a particular threshold. First of all, you can see here the values. So by default, it is configured to 1 megabyte of traffic, of DNS traffic. And when you click on this red icon, a new page is going to be shown, and you can configure here the bytes, and then click apply. Whenever you click apply, as you can see, the enabled alerts changed from 101 to 102. And we enable the DNS traffic alert. And as you can see, first of all, you can search for your scripts for your alerts here in the search bar. And you can see between the enabled alerts, the one we have enabled. Let's say instead we want to disable it. Let's click on the green button, and it is going to change from enabled to disabled. In fact, if we search here again, as you can see, between the disabled one, we have the alerts disabled. There are even particular alerts in this page that are a lot more configurable, so not this one. For example, we have this one. This is a nice easy alert. This is an industrial protocol alert. And here you, for example, you can allow this type of IDs. Then we have other particular alerts, like it is possible to add the exclusion for particular protocols, etc. But this is where you are able to enable and disable the alerts. Yeah, for engage it's not currently active, but when we select the last 5 minutes or 30 minutes, it's not shown. Okay, you can see if we click engaged, in fact, you do not see the alert. However, we know that we have here a 1, so it means that at least there is an engaged alert. We do not see in the last 30 minutes alert because it is shown on the first time it was seen. So in fact, if we put last day, the alert is going to pop up. This is 1 because we have a critical one here. And as you can see, it was triggered around 11 a.m. And now here in Italy, at least we are in 16, at 16, so it is 4 hours later. For this reason, if you click on the last 30 minutes, you do not see the other one, but you just see this one. That should be a new alert. In fact, it was triggered right now, this one. This is the reason why you do not see the other one. However, if you have this icon, it is sure that there is some engaged alerts. Yes, exactly, it's still there. In fact, we can see that by jumping from the shortcut to the active monitoring, let's take a look at it, and ntopng. As you can see, this is the active monitoring page. I'm going to show you better in the 50th lesson, but you can see that the continuous ICMP towards ntop.org, so the one that triggered the alert, last measurement is null. So you cannot find the measurement. It means that it was not reachable. So yes, it's still there, the problem. Now, let's talk about the last topic of this training. We have talked about how to analyze an host, how to analyze the traffic, how to analyze, how to see alerts, protocols, etc. Lastly, we are going to talk about how it is possible to export these alerts we've seen until now towards an external service. Because yes, probably it's pretty if you like it, this interface, but some people here find a lot of information, a lot of alerts, etc. As you can see, for instance, in the last 30 minutes, we have 300, 400 alerts. So I want to say, okay, all these alerts are surely important. However, I want some particular alerts, so let's say the critical one, to an external service. Let's say to an email, to Telegram, or whatever you like. In ntopng, this is possible. It is possible to configure a way to send alerts to an external service from ntopng. To do that, you can jump directly from the shortcuts to notifications. Otherwise, you can jump to the system interface and then notifications. Here you find the built-in endpoint. We call those the system's endpoints and recipients, we have the built-in endpoint, that it is the one, this one we have seen till now. So yes, you can edit even information about that. And recipients. As you can see, for instance, we know that this built-in recipient was used 30 seconds ago with zero drop and other information, okay. But the information we are interested about is, let's say I want to take a look just at the errors and critical errors. So let's click on the actions, edit, and here minimum severity, let's select error. Whenever you click edit, from now on, here in the alerts dashboard, we're going to see only from the error to the critical one. So only these alerts are going to be triggered. And like I was saying, it is possible in ntopng to send these alerts to external services. If you click on the plus, you can possibly add a new recipient, a new endpoint, sorry, and send all these alerts to this external service. For instance, let's say I want to put, I want to send all these alerts, or at least the critical one, for instance, to my Discord channel or to my email. You can configure here the with the information requested. So let's put Discord. No, let's add an Elasticsearch. Elasticsearch. It is possible even to add this info, to send this information, both the alerts and the flows, towards the Elasticsearch service. HTTP. This is the default one. Okay. Let's add the last HCS endpoint. Click on the add, and now you see a new endpoint. However, you can see here a warning, no recipient configured. If you click here, you need to add a new recipient. Click on the plus, and as you can see, you already have selected the endpoint, your Elasticsearch endpoint. Add the information requested here, so the index, that it is a particular information of Elasticsearch, minimum severity, the alerts, the category of the alerts you are interested in to be sent there, the entities, so the family, let's say, flow alert, MAC addresses, sorry, yeah, flow alert, MAC addresses, etc. The host pool, we can take a look at it in a few seconds. And then if we are interested in active monitoring information, etc. Whenever you have added or configured all the information you are interested in, just click add, and ntopng from now on starts sending this information even to Elasticsearch. Yes, has I test? There is a question here. Has I tested for sending alert to chat platform? I noticed that so many alerts sending, most of them are the same all different time. We makes us more slower, combine the same problem into one. There are two ways to do that. First of all, you have a lot of alerts because probably as I have in my system. Let's jump to the alerts, and as you can see, there are even similar one. This is triggered by the fact that probably this flow expired. So we have a flow, this flow started unidirectional traffic, okay, but it expired, then created the new flow, expired, then created the new flow. And these are all different alerts because these are different flows. So one way to manage this problem is both by changing the idle time of the flows, so the time after when the flow is deleted from the memory and the alert is triggered. So if you click on the preferences, flow dump setting, no, let's search. This is the setting, the preferences of ntopng, and from here you can configure a lot of more or less all the information you can display in ntopng. And it yeah, here we are. In the cache setting entry, in the expert view, you can find flow idle timeout, an activity time after which a flow is considered idle. So it means that after 1 minute of no traffic, that flow is considered idle and removed from the memory. In fact, if you remember from the alerts, let's jump back to the alerts. The unidirectional one, for instance, had a 3 minutes, if I'm not wrong, of between one and one other. Here, for let's put these two. It's 4 minutes total. So we can easily add, where is he here? Put this to 5 minutes, for instance, and if no traffic is seen for 5 minutes, then an alert is triggered. Another way to reduce the number of alerts to these external charts is by, for instance, adding some filter, let's say, to the recipient by adding, changing this entry. So let's say I want just error alerts, I want just cybersecurity alert, and I want just flow alerts, for instance, to this channel. In that way, you are able to reduce greatly the number of alerts. Let's jump back to the slides and see how to create an Elasticsearch endpoint. Okay. The score, I already told you about that, and there are two scores in ntopng. One is the flow score, and the other one is the host score. Simply put, the flow score indicates how bad is this flow, like we have seen, and the host score is that is computed by the sum of the different flow scores, plus additional scores eventually found on this host, because we know, like we have seen, that we have different families of alerts. So if a particular host, let's say my computer, triggered one host alert and has, for instance, 5 flow alerts as a client, all those score of all those hosts are going to change my host score. So my computer is probably going to have an higher score. Last thing about this session is that, like I said before, it is even possible to analyze a pickup in ntopng. In fact, if we jump back to ntopng, we can click on the pickup I was analyzing. Here you can see, for instance, all the live flows of the pickup. Obviously, these flows are not going to expire, but you can find all the information about this pickup, so the protocols, so the flows, all the hosts seen on these pickups. So you can even analyze pickups with ntopng.
But maybe we can show, it takes a few seconds, how to configure a custom blacklist. For instance, if you go to the user interface settings, we can show them settings, applications, and categories.
Yeah.
So here, if you go on categories, I want to show that you can filter by type and set malware. So can you search for malware? Yeah. So here you have, for instance, the category malware, which is what we use for the blacklist. And here you can edit and add the hosts that you want. So this is a way to configure a custom blacklist, let's say, from the user interface. Otherwise, you have to add your blacklist file, but it's not possible through the user interface right now. Yeah, just to answer to the question.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so I think we are running out of time. So unless there is some more question, we can close this session, right, Matteo?
Yeah. There is one question. How can we identify, enable, or disable behavior check with best practices and not make too noise with others from others? All right. To disable behavior checks, it is simply put. You have to jump to the settings, behavior checks, and here you have the list of the alerts, of all the alerts, the enabled one and disabled one. To reduce the noise, I suggest on first of all checking these alerts if you're interested in, because yeah, we put the severity here on the alerts, but we are not sure that, let's say, for our reasoning, we have that interface packets drop alerts is an error severity, so it's pretty important as a problem. But maybe in your case, in your system, it is not. So you're maybe not interested in this, remove it. Then check all the others we have and see which you are interested in and disable the ones you are not interested in. In that way, first of all, you are going to clear a lot of noise from your system. And another suggestion I put is surely um, the most dangerous, the most important alerts in your network. First of all, send them to a Telegram channel or whatever you probably use, I don't know, email or whatever you may use. Personally, I use Telegram, so I send these alerts on Telegram, and I'm going to send just the critical ones. So the really important ones. If this machine goes down, if a host I'm currently pinging goes down, so I suggest by clearing this the alert noise by doing these steps. Are there any other questions? Sample diagram, do you mean the Sankey charts? If you mean about them, we are going to talk about it in the 5th lesson. About network diagram, where can we put ntopng suggestion? What do you mean, sorry, by your question? About network, where can we put ntopng suggestion? ntopng, I'd put it in a centralized computer, probably, capturing traffic from all the probe, capturing the traffic again from the routers, switches, or whatever traffic you want to analyze. So let's say one ntopng collecting traffic from multiple probe. In that way, you can analyze all the traffic, see the problems inside your different networks, because probably if you are capturing traffic from different routers or switches, you are analyzing even different networks, and then analyze all the traffic in a centralized point, let's say. Um, I've not shown you the DDMQ interface because we have no time now, but this is a ZMQ interface, so an interface capturing traffic from mprobe. Currently the mprobe is down because, as you can see, it's 0 bit per second transmitted. However, here if you are capturing traffic from mprobe, one mprobe or different mprobe, entries are going to pop up, just like live flows, hosts, etc. And information regarding this flow exporter are going to show. Yeah, sure. Send us an email or write on Discord channel or Telegram channel. We have different.
I suggest, I mean, if they have a network topology to share with us, maybe we can talk based on the actual network and suggest, recommend what is the best way to deploy ntopng or the probes. We'll talk about the probes also in the next session, so maybe we can discuss also about that.
I think we are done, Alfredo, and this is everything, at least for now.
Yeah. Yes, I agree. We can close this session and we stop the recording. So thank you, Matteo. Thank you, everyone. And see you on Thursday for the next session.